You first included it within a general examination of ruse, for example, and that had attracted you because you saw it as a weapon against the powerful. We're weak, you used to say in justification. And you may recognize there a title from one of Jean-François Lyotard's essays, actually a title he used twice, which was La force des faibles, the force of the weak. All this, I continue citing him, all this seemed directed towards some political end. You were inspecting the available arsenal. The anti-Strephon found its place naturally in this general strategy, and you studied it as such. Now, 2.5 years later, you confess the vanity of your Manichaeism. The anti-Strephon may well be a weapon at the disposal of the weak. It is also the strength of philosophical discourse, for this latter is made up of reflexive or speculative statements of which it is one type. Your general approach to paradoxes is modified by it, as are your politics. You say so. Your listeners, especially foreign from poor countries, believe that with this move you have lost even more pugnacity, that you have become more of a product of that cold thought and refined style which they call French, and which exasperates them. End quote. Lyotard was clearly not in a position to disabuse those foreigners. He had effectively displaced his relation to the political as such, offering, in the wake of what might loosely be termed a deconstruction of previously held assumptions about politics, a dubious nod toward philosophy, alleging that a philosophical dispositif to which he had long had recourse also belonged to the speculative resources of philosophy. Going there had taken him to the limits of what he meant by politics, conceived as a form of agonistics, and back to a meeting with speculative thought, which may or may not have been in some way shaken by this exercise. Could this issue, or could this outcome possibly serve some political exigency, presuming that what he was seeking there could even be said to be of a political order? Lyotard does not pause over this question. We are immediately presented instead with a further step in the teleological process of self-dispossession we have been following under the name of endurance in the profession. And this, I'm referring to the last paragraph of this text, which goes through this long discussion of the experience of teaching at Vincennes, and then suddenly moves into another modality almost, and takes a kind of leap. So I conclude then with a citation of the last paragraph that presents a leap prepared by this unsettling meeting with philosophy at the limits of his political thought. I quote, "The concessions to what you feel is expected become rarer. You'd like to neglect even what your own mind desires. Make it accessible to thought